Hi! What's up guys, it's Lady Pelvic with Pelvic Gaming bringing you a different type of game today. An indie game in fact. If for some reason you didn't read the title of this video, we will be discussing Dandara, which came out for everything. PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, which is what I played it on, Android and iOS devices. Disclosure, David Martinez, co-founder of Raw Fury, a small indie developed publisher, gave me a key. Not even to review, just to play, and I found the journey so entertaining, I wanted to share it with you guys. You are Dandara, historically named after a heroic Brazilian woman who fought to defend Palmeiras, a city in Brazil. In this game, you are to save the Salt, a land of creation, intention, learning, and growth, from a golden idea and oppression. From the crib of creation, a new hope, Dandara awakens. As you can see, it's very artistically written. The Salt, the golden idea, which I perceived as money, money being the root of all evil, yada yada. That was just my interpretation. So moving on to the gameplay, Dandara is my first ever Metroidvania type game. And its unique spin was you jump from wall to wall instead of walking and running. How you traveled was limited by specific platforms, but was fast-paced. While jumping may seem like a scramble, the developers added a wonderful precision mechanic shown by the white line, where it tells you exactly where Dandara will land. The goal is to travel through the Salt, encountering various enemies with different patterns, reclaiming old artifacts that help Dandara grow stronger to beat the oppressive force. Enemies did not play around in this game. If you were in their line of sight, they would fly or charge after you. Sometimes there were so many you would have to make an intelligent move by jumping through rather than fighting the horde of monsters. Enemies were merciless. If you got hit, I found there was very little time to recover. This especially sucks when you're being hammered at all angles. It felt impossible to recompose yourself. When you die, and trust me, you will, a lot. You will lose all your salt, or experience. You'll reawaken at the last few and far between camps, or checkpoints you've activated. You have to return to where you died without dying, or else your salt is lost forever. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that will happen to you, and you're just gonna have to grin and bear it. Every time you rest at a camp, enemies respawn. However, sub-bosses don't return. Because there are so few camps, it gets incredibly frustrating to have to fight through all those rooms again to reclaim your salt. You could say this feature leaves you quite salty. Salt is gained by enemies or opening chests, and this is used to strengthen Dandara, her health, her energy, the strength of health potions, and the strength of energy potions. Energy is used for special attacks like rockets or shielding. As Dandara fights her way through the Salt, she'll uncover unique artifacts that will give her special attacks, or that will affect the environment. Admittedly, when I started, I had a hard time hitting enemies with an attack that took a half a second to charge, or dodging enemy attacks, which led to me frequently dying. This game didn't really click with me until the first boss. At the start, Dandara isn't an easy game, there's most certainly a learning curve. But the moment you overcome what was defeating you time and time and again, it feels so good. The sense of accomplishment is huge. So I assure you, stick with it and you'll get the hang of it in no time. Until you come to a new area with new bosses, new enemies, new environmental dangers, then you're a noob all over again. This game will humble you real quick. Notably, when you're unprepared, a sub-boss comes out of nowhere and you're forced to fight. And don't even get me started on actual bosses. Every boss fight was A+, high-strung, intense, and sometimes unexpected. Pressing onward to the graphics, pixel art, sprites, it's right up my alley. Dandara is a beautiful game with a unique world. I was never visually disappointed. Levels range from villages to forests to desert, caverns, each area with strategically placed strange enemies and harmful terrains. Levels did a great job introducing you to new enemies, allowing you to analyze their patterns before you really begin facing against them, with different combinations of monsters. Although the movement is the same, I didn't feel like any of the levels were repetitive. Rather, each offered new platforms, enemies, and puzzles. When Dandara obtained certain items, the path you knew it completely changed. In addition, these new artifacts Dandara finds have you returning to old locations and exploring paths you couldn't before. Exploring? While it was super dangerous, the game always made it worth your while. So as long as you're willing to put in the work, and you'll be grateful you did, the game rewards you handsomely. A nitpick I had while exploring is while looking at your map, you can never see your exact location. Because things can get a little topsy-turvy, it was difficult to see where you were going. One of the biggest inspirations I found in Dandara was the culture. I follow the artist of Dandara, Victor, on Twitter, and he talks a lot about his inspirations for the game and how he implemented that into the world and characters of Dandara. Forgive me for mispronouncing anything. Tarsila is a character in Dandara who is inspired by a Brazilian modernist painting, Abaporu, by Tarsila do Amaral. Tarsila in the game makes the platforms with paintings on them move when Dandara steps on them. The cupcakes seen in the Village of Artists are based on real-life graffiti by Maria Raquel Bolinho. The props you see in the Village of Artists, the first boss, Augustus's cap, was the same one used by the Brazilian military in the past and carries a heavy meaning of oppression. It was really interesting to see where his inspiration came from, and as it turns out, I was the inspiration for the cool hairstyle. Just kidding, I wasn't. Lastly, the music. Each area had its own theme. Majority of the areas had a soothing, almost minimalistic type sound. I honestly don't know how to describe it. It's almost like they made tribal music relaxing because you hear the chimes, the xylophone, the flute, maybe pipes. You tell me what it sounds like. But that's the forest. Now let's listen to a more industrialized area. Ambient, maybe? No, not quite, but either way, I enjoyed it. But make no mistake, the music of Dandara knows how to get high-strung and intense, and you know that's my kind of music. Introducing The Weight of Doubt, the boss theme. Hearing the opening chants and the drums in the back with a spacey sound, just imagine you're jumping and firing away while being fired at. It really complemented each boss fight well. I just wish each boss fight had their own individual theme, but I'm just being greedy. Enjoy The Weight of Doubt. Dandara is a fantastic game and is well deserving of a 9 out of 10. A few minor gripes was the mapping. There was just lack of specification of where exactly you were. And camps, while cleverly placed, they were so few and far between. And the repetitiveness of dying over and over when trying to get back to camp is a bit frustrating. And because making the same track over and over and over can get a bit repetitive. And the repetitiveness is very touchy in this game. Like, you have to know when to fight or flight. Because if you fight everything in the room, you're going to die. Sometimes you gotta make it through because the recovery time in this game is little to non-existent, which just adds another level of frustration. But the gameplay itself, figuring out how to do these puzzles or get around enemies or even approach enemies, was really fun. And this doesn't hinder the score, but I wish there was a difficulty level, you know, for us noobs out there. Granted, this game will make you get good. As long as you stick with it, you'll be fine, but ooh, it's really intimidating at times. I was reading what other people thought of this game, and I saw a lot of people quit early because it was really difficult. And I mean, I'm not a bitch, so I didn't quit early, and I'm really glad I didn't, so. And I think it's also where I'm coming from. After playing The Longest 5 Minutes, which was a stupid easy JRPG, going to this, while not a JRPG, more of a Metroidvania type game, was so difficult, it felt maybe extra difficult. But the sense of accomplishment that I missed from The Longest 5 Minutes was in this game. Every boss, every obstacle, figuring out every puzzle felt so rewarding, so damn good. Like, there was a sense of pride, you know? Also, fair warning to those who are veterans with Metroidvania type games, a lot of you guys said that this game didn't really click with you until the second boss, which I totally understand, because if you get this game, the first boss is probably cake. To me, it provided a bit of a challenge, but the second boss brings it home. Oh my, the second boss was fire. Unexpected, so good, just real raw, uncut, like holy shit, you're in a battle, ready, go. The final boss also, so very good. Before I end this review, I have one question I'd like to pass on to you, and that is, what culture would you like to see more of in gaming? Take Greek, Roman, Egyptian, some of my personal favorites get a lot of spotlight, but Brazilian culture, in the US anyways, doesn't get a lot of limelight, and I don't think a lot of people know about it unless you are Brazilian or you're just a culture fanatic. But because Brazilian culture isn't exactly well known in American history, it added this sort of mystery, and I liked it. You know, when we see Hades in Greek mythology, we know it's the god of the underworld, Zeus, brother of Hades, king of all gods, you know, Persephone. We know these stories. But did anyone know who Dandara was before this game came out? I don't think so, because I sure didn't. If you're interested in hearing more about this beautiful title, I left a link in the description below of Joao, the developer of Dandara, one of them. He talks about the process of intermingling the unique gameplay and incorporating the Brazilian lore tastefully. Once again in the comments section, let me know what cultures you want to see incorporated in future video games. Thank you so much for watching. Top box is more reviews and the bottom box is my Let's Play channel. We are now on the second case of Danganronpa. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Was my hair big enough for this review?